What are the Negabands, and why does Miss Marvel have them in the upcoming Disney Plus miniseries? After all, isn't she an Inhuman that was doused with Terrigen Mist while walking the streets of Jersey City one night, subsequently activating the powers that turn her into a superhero, like in the comics? Nope. At least this isn't going to be the case in the MCU. So the Negabands that you see her with in the trailer for the miniseries are going to play a huge part in her MCU-based origin story. Let's give you the download about those Negabands now, because, look, the day for the first episode of the Disney Plus Miss Marvel miniseries to drop is nearly here, so I want you to have a clue about what's going on. Welcome back to the Mama Saga, where this Marvel-loving mama is a mother by day, but breaks down comic book sagas, movies, and shows like Miss Marvel by night. So let's get down to it, shall we? What are the Negabands? Well, they are Kree artifacts, and there are actually several pairs of them, not just one. And if you're not really sure what the Kree are, simply put, they're a hardcore militaristic race of aliens who are scientifically and technologically advanced as compared to we mere humans, let alone other races of creatures in the comics and or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. While you've seen a bunch of the blue-skinned variety in MCU movies through the years, the Kree actually can have white or black skin as well. The Kree created the Negabands millennia ago, and their purpose was to transform the wearer's mental energy into physical energy. Nice, right? But wait, there's more. Properties of the Negabands. The wearer of a set of Negabands gets way more than the ability to turn mental energy into physical energy. They also get the ability to manipulate energy, cast force fields, and have increased invulnerability to physical attacks. The wearer also enjoys superhuman strength, speed, and agility. But wait, there's even more. The wearer also can engage in interstellar flight, without being crushed by exposure to deep space, of course. They can translate and understand different languages, and they can survive for a period of time without the need for food, water, or oxygen. We're not done. You thought we were? We're so not. The wearer of a pair of Negabands can also teleport and act as a conduit for channeling energy back and forth throughout points in space. When it comes to the Negabands, we're talking some serious OP Kree artifacts here. So how do the Negabands specifically factor into the Miss Marvel miniseries? Well, in my recent video, they changed Miss Marvel's powers. Kevin Feige explains why. I discussed the fact that Miss Marvel's origin story was being altered in the Disney Plus miniseries from her Inhumans-related one in her comic book saga to a very different type of origin. So make sure you check that video out after you're done watching this one. But suffice it to say, even in the comic books, there was a Captain Marvel-related chain of events that connects to Kamala Khan. So let me discuss that and then give you my theory as to how they're going to factor into the MCU moving forward. So let's dish about the comic book connection. So in the comic book saga, the first pair of Negabands were given by the Kree Supreme Intelligence, the Kree Big Leader, to Captain Marvel. But not this Captain Marvel that you're used to from the MCU, the Carol Danvers version. Nope. It was to a dude version that went by the name Captain Marvel, also known as Walter Lawson. Down the road, when he had children, they too had a set of Negabands of their own. In another part of the comic book multiverse, Earth 70875, keep in mind the MCU proper is Earth 616, but in that other reality, Carol Danvers, as Captain Marvel, used the Negabands to switch places with Captain Mar-Vell, who was dying of cancer, so that she could contract it instead and undergo treatment for it in his place so that he could survive. How nice is she? Now, Captain Mar-Vell officially died in the traditional comic book saga in 1982, and he's remained largely dead and gone since. I mean, seriously, you probably know that when it comes to comic books, characters can die and then are often brought back from the dead, almost as many times as old school soap opera characters. In the comic book saga, Carol Danvers met Captain Mar-Vell while working at the Kennedy Space Center, and they became friends. When Carol was kidnapped by her mentor's Kree rival Yon-Rogg, Mar-Vell went to save her, and in the ensuing battle, Carol was knocked into a Kree device that altered her DNA, causing her to become a Kree-human hybrid that possessed her mentor's superhuman abilities. She developed the alter ego named Miss Marvel and then joined the Avengers. Long story short, upon the death of her mentor, Carol Danvers changed her superhero identity from Miss Marvel to Captain Marvel in honor of the Walter Lawson version of Mar-Vell himself. And if you know anything about Kamala Khan, she was a huge super fan of the Carol Danvers version of Captain Marvel, to the point that, again in the comic books, after Kamala was doused with the Terrigen Mist in Jersey City, she came out of her misty cocoon, having changed shape to her fave Carol Danvers, complete with the Captain Marvel-esque costume. But now that you've likely seen the Miss Marvel Disney Plus series trailer, even simply the first one that came out, you probably caught a glimpse of those pretty little bands, which are clearly coming directly into play for the MCU version of Kamala Khan, right? So now let's discuss the MCU Negaband connection. It seems clear that the Negabands are factoring into the 6-part Disney Plus miniseries from the very first trailer, and that instead of Kamala embiggening a part of her body, or getting taller or shorter, or transforming her shape into someone else, or even something else, like an inanimate object like a couch. Yes, a couch. She did that in the comics. Kamala is instead going to leverage the Negabands to project energy so that she can do anything from project a huge fist all Purple Lantern style to projecting energy discs to walk on through otherwise thin air. There's even a scene where Kamala's eyes change color to match the energy she is capable of projecting, even projecting that energy force field style. If you ask me, slowly but surely over the course of all 6 episodes of the Disney Plus series, we're gonna see Kamala use the Negabands in increasingly jaw-dropping ways as she learns to use them and unlocks many, if not all, of the cool features that I mentioned earlier in this video. Kevin Feige did explain that given how everything was flowing in the MCU, that a change-up in Kamala's powers as Miss Marvel was necessary in order to fit how everything would continue to flow into the future of the MCU. And he also indicated that Kamala would be far more important to the MCU as a result. Purple energy projected by Negabands appears to be cosmic in origin. Kamala does breathlessly utter the word cosmic in the trailer. Coincidence? I think not. The Guardians of the Galaxy movies in the MCU so far have served to usher in the more cosmic parts of the MCU, the bigger, huger, broader, more expansive outer space parts of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And the first Captain Marvel movie definitely fed into that broad, expansive scope, the broadened universe of it all, too. It's believed that the Marvels movie, the Captain Marvel sequel coming out in a few months from now, will include a team-up of Kamala Khan with Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau. So having Kamala's powers be more energy manipulation-based will make her more of a synergistic, natural fit with the others, given the way the other two characters' powers work. Now, in the MCU, there's no dude version of Captain Marvel. There was Annette Bening's Captain Marvel, her Earth-related alias being that of Dr. Wendy Lawson. But she really was a Kree scientist working undercover on Earth. So, yup, the Marvel mentor concept got a good old gender swapping as between the comics and the MCU, but as a Kree, the MCU Marvel didn't seem to actively possess and or use a set of negabands in that first Captain Marvel movie. But since per that movie, Carol Danvers was living among the Kree for a series of years, it's quite possible that somehow in the Ms. Marvel Disney Plus miniseries that the MCU Captain Marvel either facilitates a pair of negabands being brought to Jersey City, where Kamala resides, and then Kamala finds them and uses them, or once Kamala otherwise encounters the negabands and begins using them, Carol Danvers detects their being in use and arrives at Jersey City to track them down and ends up meeting Kamala for the first time. There have most definitely been rumors that Brie Larson will be showing up as Captain Marvel in the Ms. Marvel miniseries. And it makes sense that she would, since in February 2021, Kevin Feige did indicate that the Ms. Marvel miniseries was really meant to set up the Captain Marvel movie sequel entitled The Marvels. Whew! Well, there's a whole lot of other Marvel comic and movie-inspired content coming out on this channel. In the meantime, we're releasing a whole bunch of videos about Ms. Marvel leading up to the release of the Ms. Marvel Disney Plus series. So this Marvel Mama's really glad you found this channel when you did. Make sure you subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mama Saga for more comic book saga breakdowns, all Salty Mama style. Thanks for watching. Take care.